Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. We always say we make this show for the intensely curious listener.
Right, the person who really loves to understand multiple perspectives.
Exactly. The kind of person looking for that next big aha moment. And, well, today's deep dive definitely delivers on that. But I got to warn you, it's a bit heavy.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging.
Right. Because our mission today is to explore this really profound and honestly pretty uncomfortable truth about human nature. We're looking at the actual life cycle of our deepest ideals.
And how quickly they can fall apart.
Exactly. So we're pulling today's material from this really striking essay written by Feng. This was published back in April of 2023, and the title alone is, well, it's a gut punch.
Oh, absolutely.
It's called 99% of people deviate from their original intentions.
Which is quite the claim.
Right. I mean, 99%. Okay, let's unpack this. Why do 99% of people who set out to achieve an ideal Siri ultimately stray from their path? And not just stray, but morph into the exact type of person they once despised and sought to overthrow.
Yeah, and to set the foundation here, the essay makes it clear this isn't just about, famous political figures or dictators.
Right, it's not just history book stuff.
Exactly. It's a universal pattern of human behavior. The goal for us today is to understand not just what happens when we gain power or success, but why. Like, why are our original good intentions so incredibly vulnerable to just shifting conditions around us?
Yeah, and to really understand how those intentions warp, I think we have to start at the macro level, looking at history, looking at systemic power, because that's where this shift in human nature is, glaringly obvious.
For sure. The essay starts by looking at Chinese peasant uprisings, which I think is a perfect example.
Yeah, because the initial slogans for those revolts, they were completely noble.
Yeah.
They were all about equalizing wealth.
Right.
You had these leaders rallying poor farmers who were they were being brutally exploited. Heavy feudal taxes, forced labor, real suffering.
And their cause was entirely justified.
Exactly. But here's the crazy part. The essay points out that once those revolts succeeded, once they actually won, the leaders who literally bled for equality immediately began hoarding resources.
I completely forgot the cause.
Like overnight.
Yeah.
And the author argues the same exact thing happens on the bureaucratic ladder.
Oh, yeah, the classic corrupt official pipeline.
Right. Like individuals who haven't held office yet, they deeply resent corruption. They hate the bureaucracy. But then they get a position, they climb the ranks, and suddenly they transform into the corrupt officials they used to hate. Sometimes even worse.
It's so common, it's almost a cliche at this point.
Yeah. And the essay applies this to everyday virtues, too. People hate empty platitudes and hypocrites until they get fame or wealth. Then they put on this moral facade, speaking these grand words while their actions are entirely selfish. So I got to ask you, is power like a funhouse mirror that just distorts your original good intentions? Or is it more like truth serum, and it just reveals the selfish person you were all along?
That's a great way to frame it. I mean, are they losing their ideals or just adapting to the harsh realities of governing?
Exactly, because surviving in a corrupt system kind of forces your hand, right?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the author takes a very strict viewpoint on this. Feng argues it is a total abandonment of the original cause.
No middle ground.
None. The oppressed literally become the oppressors. And the reason this is the core of the argument is that gaining a new status fundamentally rewrites a person's relationship with resources and society.
Okay, wait, how so?
Well, when you're at the bottom, equalizing wealth is how you survive. But when you're at the top, equalizing wealth means giving up your own security. So the environment changes, and human nature simply adapts to protect itself in that new environment.
Wow. So I want you, the listener, to think about that for a second. Think about a time you transitioned from being, say, the outsider complaining about management to suddenly being the one in charge. Did your perspective shift? Did you suddenly understand why the rules were the way they were?
It happens to all of us.
It really does. And here's where it gets really interesting, because you don't need to overthrow a feudal lord to lose your way. The essay makes a hard pivot to the micro level. This stuff happens on city streets and even in our own living rooms.
Yeah, the systemic power corrupts, but everyday power does too.
Exactly. The deep dive goes into people at the lowest rungs of society, people who are bullied, oppressed, folks who just desperately long for fairness and justice.
Right.
But the moment they put on a uniform, like a police uniform or an urban enforcement uniform, they turn cruel.
It's an instant shift.
Yeah. They treat people from their own former social class with even greater brutality. It's almost like the uniform is this anti-superhero cape. Like, it grants you power but completely strips away your empathy.
That's a really stark image, but it's accurate.
But then the author takes it a step further into domestic life.
Yeah.
And this part, this part is wild. They describe these poor couples who are deeply loving, who share this profound bond.
Right, they've survived together.
But when financial success hits, when their situation finally improves, the foundational balance of their relationship is just entirely disrupted. The love fades, resentment grows, and they might even wish to, quote, kick their partner off the face of the earth.
Yeah, it sounds completely counterintuitive.
It really does. Shouldn't financial freedom make a loving couple happier? Why does the author say it disrupts the balance? Explain the mechanics of why money destroys that love.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really comes down to the psychology of shared struggle. The author believes that human behavior is entirely reliant on current natural and social conditions, right? Okay. So for that couple, the poverty was the glue. Their mutual dependency was a survival mechanism based on their condition of lacking resources.
Oh, I see.
Once that condition is removed, once the money arrives, the whole dynamic of the partnership has to be renegotiated. They don't need each other for survival anymore.
Yeah.
And that sudden shift often leads to a complete loss of the original affection.
Wow. So the intention to love someone forever was basically just a symptom of being broke.
According to this essay, yeah. Conditions dictate behavior.
That's rough. But okay, let's push this even further. We've established that money and authority corrupt our intentions. But what about people who actively reject material wealth?
You mean spiritual folks?
Yeah. Can highly educated, highly moral, or spiritual people maintain their original intentions? Because they aren't chasing the throne or the bank account.
You would think they'd be immune.
Right. But the essay examines these spiritual cultivators. Initially, they are so pure. They follow the teachings of sages and Buddhas with just utmost obedience.
Total humility.
But then, as they accumulate knowledge and they start attracting their own followers, they shift. They start mystifying their teachings purely to elevate themselves above others.
Right, they make it complicated so they can act as the gatekeeper.
Exactly. Which brings us to the core thought experiment of the whole essay. And I love this part. The author says, imagine a group of 100 people.
Okay, 100 people.
And they are carefully selected for their ideals. They have huge ambitions, high education, deep cultivation, and incredibly high moral standards.
So literally the best of the best.
The cream of the crop. And they are striving for a, quote, heavenly life.
Sounds like a utopia.
It does.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. If these 100 people are left without the constraints of a structured system, no laws, no rigid societal rules, they will rapidly devolve.
Without a system, they fall apart.
Entirely. They become this highly intelligent group just scheming against one another, competing for resources, deceiving each other.
Even with all that education and morality.
Yeah. The essay specifically says if there are 50 men and 50 women, human nature will drive them to compete for sexual resources. Without strict monogamy rules, chaos, emotional struggles, and battles will just ensue. And the exact same chaotic scheming will happen with the pursuit of power.
They'll just use their big brains to fight over who's in charge.
Right. So what does this all mean? Because I got to push back on this thought experiment a bit.
Go for it.
It's like putting 100 honor roll students in a room with no teachers and expecting Lord of the Flies. If they're so highly educated and moral, why wouldn't their sheer intellect prevent them from devolving into chaos over resources?
Well, this raises an important question about the absolute necessity of constraints.
Okay, what kind of constraints?
Things like laws, institutions, societal expectations. The author's conclusion here is incredibly stark. Xifeng says human nature, regardless of your education or your moral background, is fundamentally wired for possession and control.
So the hardware overrides the software.
Exactly. Your morality is just software. But without a structured system, an operating system to keep things in check, those noble ideals stand absolutely no chance against our basic human drives for sex and power.
So the intellect just makes them better at scheming.
Exactly. They don't fight with clubs, they fight with manipulation.
Wow. Okay, so synthesizing all of this, from the peasant uprisings to the street uniforms, the wealthy couples, and now this 100-person utopia, the ultimate lesson from today's sources is pretty humbling.
To say the least.
Human beings are fundamentally unreliable. The essay clearly states that people change according to shifting natural and social conditions.
We are just completely fluid.
Yeah. Today's hero is tomorrow's failure. Today's contributor is tomorrow's criminal. Today's progressive thinker is, tomorrow's reactionary.
And today's helper transforms into tomorrow's harmer.
It's all just dependent on the weather, so to speak. Which brings it right back to you, the listener. The essay argues that a heavenly life, a real utopia, is actually easily attainable.
Really? After all that?
Yeah, it's within reach. But the barrier, the one thing stopping us, is maintaining our original intentions.
Because the moment things get better, we change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I want you to audit your own life. Are you currently holding on to your original ideals? Or have shifting conditions like a new job, more money, a tiny bit of power, have those subtly turned you into someone you once criticized?
It's a really uncomfortable mirror to look into.
It is. But I think it's necessary.
Absolutely. And if we take this all the way to its logical conclusion, it leaves us with one final lingering question to explore on our own.
Lay it on us.
If Yuefeng is right, and our deviation from our ideals is practically guaranteed the very moment our conditions improve, should we completely stop relying on good intentions altogether? I mean, should we instead focus entirely on building foolproof, rigid systems that don't require human beings to be good in the first place?
Just assume we're all going to break bad and build a system around that.
Exactly. Something to think about.